Let's jump right in. Welcome to this explainer, everyone. Today, we are heading out on this absolutely awe-inspiring journey right into the geographic and spiritual heart of Northeast China. We're talking about a place where extreme elements literally crash into each other in the most spectacular way possible. Get ready, because we are exploring Mount Changbai, the sacred mountain of fire and ice. Okay, let's dive into this because imagine traveling thousands of miles, braving freezing, bone-chilling temperatures, only to find that the very thing you came to see is just completely hidden. What if the world's most beautiful lake only reveals itself around 40 days out of the whole year? Well, that is the reality of Mount Changbai's ultimate prize. You don't just visit it, you really have to earn it. And honestly, you have to get incredibly lucky. So let's start at the very top with Section 1, the elusive Heaven Lake, also known as Tianchi. Just look at this number for a second, 40 to 90. That is the remarkably tiny window of days per year that the fog, the snow, and the clouds actually part enough for you to see the lake. Travelers actually call visiting Heaven Lake a blind box. You could literally wait at the base camp for days, ride a snowmobile up these crazy icy slopes, and still find yourself just staring into a solid wall of white mist. But man, when the skies do clear, the reward is absolutely breathtaking. And what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer scale of what we're looking at. Heaven Lake isn't just your average lake, it's a massive volcanic crater. It was formed by one of the largest volcanic eruptions in the last 2,000 years of human civilization, way back in 964 AD. The lake plunges to depths of nearly 400 meters, holding these vast reserves of pristine freshwater. I mean, to put that into perspective, it's so massive that its surface area is comparable to Hangzhou's famous West Lake, but it is 80 times deeper. But here's the catch. Getting to look at that deep blue water in winter means enduring some brutal sensory extremes. We're talking about temperatures that can just free fall to minus 40 degrees Celsius. At this altitude, level 8 winds hit your face like a literal knife. It is so ridiculously cold that the moisture from your breath instantly crystallizes right on your eyelashes. Your phone battery might just freeze and shut down completely, and you often have to walk backwards just to shield your face from the blowing snow. And, as if a frozen, high-altitude volcano wasn't mysterious enough on its own, there are the legends. Because the lake is so impossibly deep, and because these geothermal vents keep parts of it unfrozen even in the dead of winter, it's given rise to some incredible local lore. Some people say fairies bathe in its waters. Others whisper about the legendary lake monster, this unexplained creature rumored to inhabit those dark, unfrozen depths. It all just adds to the mountain's deeply sacred and, frankly, mystical aura. Because the mountain is just so capricious, there's actually a famous saying among locals and travelers alike: Changbai Mountain will punish anyone who doesn't have a plan B. The weather can change in a matter of minutes. Scenic spots can close with zero warning due to heavy snow. You really have to embrace the unpredictable nature of the climate up there. If the peak is closed, you have to be ready to pivot, and find another way to experience the mountain. Moving on to Section 2, collisions of fire and ice. So the crucial point as we head down the mountain is this incredible contrast. Up on the surface, you're battling those biting minus 40-degree winds and heavy powder snow, all bundled up in rented heavy coats and knee pads. But just beneath the crust, there's literally boiling volcanic magma and highly active geothermal vents. It's a very real world of ice and fire, just coexisting at the exact same time. And this contrast literally builds right into the landscape. Look at this number. 68 meters. Just below the crater, Heaven Lake spills through a gap in the rock, creating a magnificent 68-meter volcanic waterfall. This roaring cascade doesn't even entirely freeze, even in the dead of winter. It crashes down the mountain and serves as the primary source for 3 major rivers: the Songhua, the Tumen, and the Yalu. And right next to those freezing, ice-choked rivers, you'll find this: 83 degrees Celsius. These are steaming geothermal hot springs bubbling straight out of the volcanic rock. The air gets thick with steam and this really strong smell of sulfur. You literally have freezing cold river water flowing just mere meters away from scalding hot spring water. It's for sure one of the most surreal natural phenomena you can witness. And the locals, well, they figured out a slightly bizarre but completely delightful way to utilize these springs. You can actually buy eggs boiled directly in the 83-degree volcanic water. Because of the unique mineral content and that intense temperature, the egg whites solidify into this soft, jelly-like texture,
while the yolks stay perfectly creamy. Eating a hot, sulfur-scented egg to warm up while standing in -30-degree weather, oh, that is an absolute must-do tradition here.
Which brings us to our final section, a white winter wonderland. Let's move down to the base and see how this builds. Down here, you're greeted by these diverse, snow-covered wonders. You've got the unique underground forest, you can go drifting down rivers lined with stunning rime ice, there's some of the best powder snow in the world for winter sports, and of course, the incredibly resilient and vibrant culture of the local Korean autonomous prefecture. Take the underground forest, for example. It's this wild geographical depression, a sunken valley formed by the shifting volcanic earth. Because it's sunken, an entire ancient forest ecosystem of towering spruces and white birches is protected from the worst of those howling winds. It survives and actually thrives beneath a thick blanket of pristine snow, making it hands down one of the most tranquil spots on the whole mountain. And serving as the base camp for all these adventures is Baihei Town. This prosperous gateway town is famous for its towering marin pine trees, these beautiful, straight pines that only grow in this one specific microclimate. But it's also this amazing place of rich cultural blend. You'll see dual language signs everywhere, and after a freezing day on the mountain, you can warm up with traditional Korean foods. We're talking spicy warm noodles, sizzling barbecue, and crispy rice sausage to fight off the cold. It is the perfect cultural contrast to the wild nature up above. So, what does this all mean? Well, that brings us to our final thought. The sheer difficulty of Mount Changbai, the freezing temperatures, the blinding snow, the fact that you might only get to see the lake a few dozen days a whole year, it might seem like a deterrent, right? But think about it. If a mountain makes you endure freezing winds just for a chance at its beauty, doesn't that make the reward even more sacred? It's not just a tourist destination. It's a test of patience, a roll of the dice, and a raw encounter with the powerful forces of our planet. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope it inspired you to seek out your own moments of elusive, legendary beauty.